Hey everyone, I'm Noah, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Pride Month just ended yesterday, but for some of us, transphobia is a year-round obsession. This video by right-wing commentator Ben Shapiro, titled Nickelodeon Pushes Trans Propaganda on Young Children, was released 2 weeks ago. It has 500,000 views and a 99% like ratio. Oh, it's great. God, so good. It's one of the funniest videos I think I've ever seen, based on its wonderfully ridiculous display of incoherent babbling about children's cartoons.
It's not appropriate for children.
However, the video also serves as right-wing propaganda. It's being used by Ben Shapiro to fearmonger his viewers into justifying their anti-trans bigotry, and that's why we're talking about it today. His video is linked in the description, so you can be sure to go watch it if you want, so you make sure I'm not doing fake news crimes to him. It's about 10 minutes long, but it's impossible to play at double speed because he talks in double speed.
Radical gay propaganda video directed at children.
For the first 3 minutes of the video, Ben essentially makes the claim that this Nickelodeon clip showing drag queen Nina West performing a song about the pride flag is indoctrinating your children.
And so we are going to now indoctrinate children into the wonders of various sexual orientations.
And get this, child abuse.
Don't tell me that that isn't abuse of children. It is. It is mass abuse of children.
Before I show the song clip that he eventually shows, there's a good amount of unhinged hysteria going on from Ben in the first 3 minutes of the video. So let's take a look.
If you believe that the radical left isn't after your children, you're ignoring the fact that they very, very clearly are after your children.
He uses the word children 22 times in the first 2 minutes and 53 seconds of the video before showing the actual clip. That's about once every 7 seconds.
Children, small children, small children, small children. Indoctrinate children, 4 and 5-year-olds. Children. You're an idiot. Sex with small children. Gender orientation with small children. Child, 4 and 5-year-olds. You might identify as a drag queen.
Not sure how stupid Ben thinks his followers are, but repetition seems to be a willfully employed tactic here.
You're an idiot.
He may as well have knocked all 22 out at the start of the video. They're coming for your children. They're coming for your children. They're coming child, kids. In one place, he does what we in the intellectualizationing business call inductive leap, one of the least phallic of the logical phallicacies, where you jump from one premise to the next without proving the first premise, like a transphobic monkey.
There is no way to discuss gay pride without coming into conflict, when you're coming to discuss this with children, without coming into conflict with the reality, which is that it is a sexual orientation, which implies sex, which implies you now have to discuss sex with small children. And I have TV people discussing sex with small children and gender orientation with small children. Does this sound like a great idea to you?
Gay pride means sex. Sex means deviance. Deviance means you're gonna go to hell. Going to hell means you meet the devil. Meeting the devil means you're gonna realize that he's actually kind of a sexy guy. He's got these big red pecs with these peppermint nipples, and then you start kissing and Lil Nas X. Wait, stop, cut the camera.
If somebody came into your house and started doing this to your child without your consent, you would immediately call the cops.
Oh no, Ben thinks the people in the TV are gonna come out of it to get him. I mean, okay, obviously this is a ridiculous anecdote for him to be using, but why don't we humor him? Picture this little twerp showing up in your living room and yelling at your kids about how SpongeBob makes you gay. You calling the cops? I know I am.
If an adult came into your house, a man dressed as a woman came into your house and started singing to your child about the wonders of various sexual orientations, and your kid's 5, you would call the cops.
He also used the example of a man dressed as a woman invading your space, which is channeling the anti-trans ethos popular among bathroom bill sponsors and some authors of Harry Potter books. After these 3 minutes of suffering, we finally get to see Ben's example of this Nickelodeon-sponsored child abuse. Trigger warning, this is extremely dangerous stuff. I showed it to my cat, and she immediately grew opposable thumbs to use my Comcast remote to turn on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Now sashay.
Just stay safe, all right?
And here's some rather inappropriate material for children appearing on Nickelodeon.
Doesn't it just fill you with pride, showing who you are on the inside? Wave that pride flag up high, be true to you. Happy Pride, everyone! Yeah!
It fills you with pride, showing who you are on the inside.
That's it. That's all he shows. That's the clip he called child abuse. 14 seconds. Ben Shapiro, when somebody says, hey, be yourself. Says angry angry chipmunk, a screaming chip. Next up, Ben does his best 1993 homophobe impression with the classic argument, oh, gay people getting married, what's next? You gonna blow up the planet? You gonna blow up planet Earth using the Death Star? Is that, hey, that's where this stuff leads, okay? You open the door to one thing.
So it used to be the kids need to be told about this stuff because if you are 5 or 6 years old, there may be a kid in your class who has 2 mommies or 2 daddies, right? That was the original thing, right? This was the what was it? Has 2 mommies. Heather has 2 mommies, right? The Heather has 2 mommies book was a controversy maybe 15 years ago. The idea was you need to teach kids because there might be a kid in the class who doesn't have a mom and a dad, but actually has 2 dads or 2 moms.
There's a brief moment here that's really funny. Ben kind of pauses and you can see the hamster in his brain momentarily fall off its wheel.
Because there might be a kid in the class who doesn't have a mom and a dad, but actually has 2 dads or 2 moms.
Because he realizes he may have just accidentally validated the existence of gay people. So he makes sure to correct that.
Okay, now, that was foolish because why would you have to teach every kid in America about this as opposed to just dealing with it when your kid comes home and asks about it? This is a job for parents, but...
Yeah, so true. Parents will take care of that. That's what you would do, right? Right, Ben? Right, Ben? Ben? Oh, wait, you think being gay is a mental illness and should be classified as such in the DSM. Now, to be fair to Ben, he did write that in 2010. He's since dropped the homophobia thing because, well... Transphobia lets you keep your sponsors.
The best things about Raycons, you can customize them to fit your ear perfectly, which is exactly what I do.
2010 is, if I'm doing my math correctly, 21 years after Heather Has 2 Mommies was published. So kids coming home to a 1989 Ben Shapiro would most certainly not be told that Heather should be allowed to have 2 mommies. Now, let's be charitable for a moment here and assume Ben isn't totally bullshitting here to pander to his misinformed, scared fan base. What is he actually upset about? Obviously, this song being shown to children is a problem for him.
Children, small children.
And Nina West being the one to do so is a part of this problem, even though most kids probably have no idea who she is or that she's even a drag queen. So what is it about the song that's so bad? Well, the closest thing we get to any semblance of a coherent argument is the end of his rebuttal here.
This is no longer directed at the kids' parents. Now, this is directed at children themselves. You, a 5 or 6-year-old, you might identify as a trans kid. You might identify as a drag queen.
So basically, he's channeling the narrative that the left wants to make your kids trans by encouraging them with various media and societal influences, including, in this case, Nickelodeon. Now, as ridiculous and elementary as Ben's little video is, I can't just watch it and make jokes without at least going a little bit further into the underlying motivations of what he's trying to say. You know, like, how does this video work? Why are so many people angered by this while also conveniently overlooking the fact that Ben doesn't give us a single piece of information for the entire video? He just shows us a drag queen and then uses a bunch of big scary words and sort of leaves the bigotry up to you. There has to be something more to this. And there is. The narrative that transgender ideology is coming for your kids is sustained in a few different ways. First, the idea that being trans is a fad and that this sort of encouragement in the media will lead to kids transitioning and regretting it later. This got really popular a few years ago when media outlets started capitalizing on the phenomenon of detransitioning. Various articles in media, like this report from 60 Minutes from May of this year, often profiled cases of detransitioning, but were widely criticized for not telling the full story.
Perhaps you can explain the worry about our story.
I have a number of concerns about a story that talks about detransitioning without really focusing on the larger context of the trans experience.
The full story being that detransitioning is extremely rare and often caused by unaccepting parents. In a 2015 survey of about 28,000 transgender people, only 8% of respondents reported detransitioning, and 62% of those people said they only detransitioned temporarily. But the important point here is that the most common reason for detransitioning, according to the survey, was pressure from a parent. Only 0.4% of all respondents said they detransitioned after realizing transitioning wasn't right for them. So you can see how 60 Minutes presenting these cases of detransitioning without giving the full context of how rare these cases are is a problem, one that promotes the harmful false narrative that people are being tricked into transitioning by SpongeBob or their friends, which parents can then use as justification to literally disown their kids. Another piece to this narrative is provided by books like Irreversible Damage, The Transgender Craze Seducing Our Jesus fucking Christ, dude, that title and cover. Yeah. In case you were wondering if fear-mongering has anything to do with it. #1 bestseller, by the way. This book has been extensively criticized for being a crock of shit because it is. The author did not interview most of the transgender adolescents she wrote about. Most of the information was provided by their parents' accounts, parents who, for the most part, did not accept their children's trans identities. She used countless false statistics to misrepresent trans youth, and also said a lot of weird, crass, offensive shit. When discussing the highly personal decision to undergo gender-affirming surgery, Shapiro wrote, "Since they almost never undergo the phalloplasty necessary to achieve one of the defining features of manhood, it's hard not to see their male identities as fragile. A quick trip to the urinal and the jig is up." Cool. That's super helpful. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for your hard work. The only reason that this book got big is because when it was first published, Target pulled it from its shelves for being transphobic, because it is. But then the author cried about this being a violation of her free speech in the Wall Street Journal, and well, you know how that goes.
Irreversible Damage, The Transgender Craze Seducing Our Daughters. Boy, that's a hot button subject.
It shouldn't be, though.
No?
It really shouldn't be.
I want to sell Ku Klux Klan robes at PacSun, but they won't let me. Our founding fathers would not stand for this. You're right, they wouldn't. They had slaves. That's not to say these cases don't happen. No one is saying that they don't, but they are extremely rare. And when you take what little evidence there is and misrepresent it as a transgender craze, so you can sell a book or promote your little podcast thing, you're doing so at the expense of an already marginalized community. There are also cases like Luna Younger, an 8-year-old from Texas whose father lost custody of her in an appeals court because, well, he was an abusive, deadbeat, transphobic freak who didn't show up to visitations and refused to call Luna the name or pronouns that she repeatedly expressed made her most comfortable. In this case, the 12-person jury nearly unanimously recommended that the mother have exclusive custody and control over all the children's medical decisions. But the right-wing media framed this story as, if your 8-year-old asks for a sex change and you don't give it to him, the state will take away your child. Which is a pretty disgusting lie about the situation. Trans healthcare at this age, the kind that Luna was being treated with, solely consists of social aspects like allowing kids to keep their hair long if they want to and choose their own clothing and the pronouns that feel right for them. Basically, it's just like 1984. This is Orwell. Okay, this is the Orwellian, George Orwell. The most frustrating part about this whole thing is that all of the evidence shows that actually listening to your kids if they experience gender dysphoria at a young age significantly reduces the likelihood of mental health issues and suicide. Family rejection nearly doubles the likelihood that a transgender youth will attempt suicide. Gender-affirming care works. That's why it's recommended by nearly all psychological and medical associations. So when people like these freaks want to make money by lying and scaring people, the results of which include state laws that literally ban trans healthcare for kids. This is a very, very, very bad thing. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that it kills people. Now I'll briefly respond to the only other clip Ben shows because it's hilarious and ridiculous.
Families marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. Families marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. This family has 2 mommies, they love each other so proudly, and they all go marching in.
Okay, 2 mommies, that's okay, you know, I'm comfortable with that as long as you don't take it any further than that. Let people live their lives, right? I don't care what you do in the bedroom.
This family has 2 daddies, they love each other so proudly, and they all go marching in.
Wait, wait, okay, it's still 2 daddies, right? So they're gay, that means, right? Okay, so I'm allowed to be cool with that. That's okay, you know?
These babas are non-binary, they love each other so proudly, and they all go marching in.
Oh my god, holy fuck, the dolphins are non-binary. Oh no, I'm gonna shit my pants. I can't believe you'd show my children this. They're just dolphins, they don't even have blowholes.
Trans members of this family all love each other so proudly, and they all go marching in.
Oh my god, the beavers are trans. How are they gonna build a dam if they're trans? There are some pretty hilarious comments on this part. Kent here is upset about non-binary dolphins and trans beavers. Funny that he didn't seem to have an issue with the alligators wearing astronaut suits. This guy is sure glad he stopped watching Nick a while ago, so he's probably 14, or he's like 35 and stopped watching Nick at age 30. I don't know which one is more sad. Tara here makes some acute observations. The beaver, I think it's a beaver. What? Has scars from having the breasts removed. So you don't know whether or not it's a beaver, but you know that it's had top surgery. The pink dolphin has a vaccine bandage on the arm. Based on the fact that you're listing this among things that bother you about this video, it looks like the cartoon dolphin is doing more to stop COVID than you are. Thanks, Tara. I don't care that drag queens exist. However, if one were to get near my children while or saying suggestive stuff, we're gonna have some problems. Jerking off to the idea of doing violence to drag queens based on a situation Ben just made up, to the great approval of all of his viewers. Okay, Brian. We just want marriage, they said. We don't want to impose a thing, they said. Oh, how wrong we were for letting them pull this shit. I told y'all they was gonna build another Death Star. A bigger Death Star would blow up even more planets. That's where this stuff leads. What's next? You're gonna marry a tree? If you open Pandora's door, you're gonna let in some angels and demons. What's really funny is that Ben goes on to basically make this exact same argument.
You see how it morphed? Right. So it started off, even this video started off with, there are some kids who have two mommies or two daddies. And then it moved into, some are non-binary. Okay, now you have to explain to children that they could have a malleable gender, which is, number one, a lie.
Men are men. Women are women. That's just biology. If you disagree, well, this is the classic, number 12 with extra cheese. The usual. Conflating sex assignment at birth with gender, on purpose, as always, to present trans activists as stupid and irrational, and to obfuscate the fact that they just want rights. This was J.K. Rowling's big thing. When she said a bunch of transphobic stuff and people called her out for being transphobic, as they should have, she claimed victimhood for simply stating objective biological facts. Sure, lady. Whatever you say. There's a great ContraPoints video about her specifically, but this sort of pedantic, semantic approach, those words work there actually, it's just, sorry they had to be next to each other. This approach somehow still works to keep transphobia alive and thriving, because people just want to feel epic all the time. They want epic wins. Finally, Ben gets to the point of his problem with this clip.
You have to say to a small child who thinks he's a robot today, that he might actually be a girl,
which is that kids under the age of 18 are all completely clueless when it comes to their conceptions of gender, which is just not true. The mean age for first experiences of gender dysphoria is around 4 to 6 years old. It seems that Ben is ignoring some facts because his feelings got hurt. Facts don't care about your feeling. Facts don't care about you. It's my pinned tweet. It's my pinned tweet. It's been my pinned tweet for 7 years. The
eventuality here is pretty obvious. You're going to send your 4 or 5-year-old kid to school. Your 4 or 5-year-old kid is going to say a dumb, confused things because kids who are 4 or 5 are dumb and confused. I know, I have small kids. The 4 or 5-year-old will go to school, and they'll say something like, I want to wear a dress today, a little boy. And instead of being at home where you would say, no, that's silly, let's put on some pants. Instead of doing that, the teacher's going to be like, you should see how you feel in a dress.
You see the problem here, right? If a kid wants to just talk about their feelings, they get immediately 360 no-scoped by their dad because he got into Ben Shapiro owning SJW videos in college, and now his worldview revolves around anything that Ben says to the detriment of his own child's health and well-being. I used to walk around in my mother's shoes when I was little because I thought it was funny. I'm so glad I grew up in the 2000s before society would have encouraged my family to castrate me. Jesus Christ, dude. Blake here makes the classical dipshit's case, misinformed guy, that being trans is something you just do at a play date and then you go home and get over it. And thankfully he did, because now society encourages families to castrate their children. Hey, you're insane. I know you just haven't looked it up, so you're uninformed and ignorant, but you're still insane for thinking that that's what is going on in society.
It is people who believe they are doing a social good by indoctrinating your kids in a particular style of thinking. They're taking your kids away from you. And if given power, these folks will do the exact same thing physically. They will take your kids away from you.
Oh, look, there it is. He said it. They will take your kids away from you. I wonder what this is in reference to. All right, Ben, it's good to know you support deadbeat dads as long as they're transphobic. I hope some of you see where I'm coming from with this, that media representation like these videos that Ben's crying about is objectively a good thing. It's a clear public message that it's okay to be yourself and promotes encouragement for kids to talk about how they're feeling, something that has a direct positive result on trans kids. And for a grown man to be acting this way in response to these harmless videos is, I don't even know how to describe it. It's almost sad. It's sad that conservatives are losing their grip on society so badly that they have to resort to shameless, hyperbolic fear-mongering in order to cultivate the necessary amount of bigotry to keep their media institutions alive. Anyways, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like and a thumbs up and a 2 thumbs up. Subscribe as well if you enjoyed it. My sources are in the description. As always, go read some of that stuff. It's good stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.